All right, let's go down to Arizona. This has been the talk for well over a week now. Savannah Guthrie, host of the Today Show, her mother, what we assume has been kidnapped. And we're looking live at her mother's home. So you're looking in the Tucson area right now, and there has been a development in Nancy Guthrie's case here. So the local investigators have been combing the area in nature, kind of around the home, and expanding the search from a nature standpoint. And they may have found something that might relate to the case. So with that, let's bring in Amalia. You've been covering this for us. Thank you for taking time out of your day to get us up to speed on some of the developments that have happened overnight with this case that everyone in the nation is just scratching their head over.
Yes, good afternoon, Drew. What you're talking about, I believe, is yesterday afternoon, a New York Post reporter saw investigators pull a black glove. This was about 1.5 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's house. We also know that the FBI was doing searches around the Catalina foothills. That is the area where Nancy lives. And this is while the Pima County Sheriff's Department overnight also has been searching around Nancy's house, focusing in the backyard area. And so we do know that there's all of these searches going on at the same time that both the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI say they've gotten thousands of tips in the last few days after releasing a security video from Nancy Guthrie's home.
Look, when you start these investigations at a crime scene like this, you're going to start with the interior of concentric circles. And then when you work your way out, you now found these gloves 1.3 miles from here, south of here. Now what you need to do is say, well, if he discarded those, what else might he have discarded? So now you've got to use that now as your ground, your veritable ground zero, and work out from that. They usually use grid searches for that so that you're not repeating yourself.
The FBI released the security video from Nancy Guthrie's home on Tuesday. And since then, as I said, they've gotten thousands of phone calls. And then that night, that Tuesday night, authorities did detain and question a man down in Rio Rico, Arizona. That's about an hour south of Tucson. They did release him that night. They also searched his house. And he had mentioned when he spoke with Fox afterwards that they had mentioned that his eyes match the eyes of the person in that security video. Later, the FBI confirmed that they had detained a Carlos Palazuelos, but said that they had detained him and questioned him for multiple reasons, not just from that security video. In Tucson, Arizona, Amalia Roy, Fox 29 News.
Hey, really appreciate that live report. Before you go, if I can ask a question, what has it been like covering this? What has been the vibe in the community? Has it just been so many different media folks? Can you give me a little behind the scenes that you've been encountering, working through down in the Tucson area?
Of course, the energy in the community, well, right now I'm at the Pima County Sheriff's Department, but when you're in the neighborhoods around Nancy Guthrie's home, neighbors will say that it is difficult having cars everywhere parked outside, having law enforcement around, but they do want to know what happened. They are now communicating with each other via different neighborhood apps, ring apps, talking about ways that investigators are reaching out to them. So that energy is there. And then also, after that security video was released, I've been covering this since last Monday, so nearly almost exactly when Nancy Guthrie went missing, and it was days of no substantial updates. We know that there were talks of ransom notes that the FBI still has not given credibility, but it was that security video that gave everyone a glimmer of a possible suspect when to this day they still haven't identified one.
Appreciate that. Thanks for kind of give us a little feel of what it's been like around the communities and what folks have just been feeling too. So thank you so much for your time today, and I appreciate you always stopping by Philadelphia Live. All right, so our thanks to her. You know, this reminds me a little bit of what she was saying in terms of the community of when I was a student at Penn State. That's when Joe Paterno was in the news, and all the national media was in State College. And something we just heard from Amalia was she was talking about how the neighbors, you know, in terms of the traffic and the cars, don't like that. And think about when you're just a normal neighborhood and all of a sudden you're put on a national map and all of this national news media, all these different vehicles are there. So you can understand not only are the neighbors just feeling sick to their stomach about their own neighbor, talking Nancy Guthrie who's missing, but then just kind of all the behind the scenes that we don't see of a national story. So we are looking live in the Tucson area at Nancy Guthrie's house. We'll continue to keep you updated on this case. It's a question that everyone across the nation wants answered. We'll be back. This is Philadelphia Live on Fox Local Philadelphia.